Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of What If Naruto Was a Stray Devil. If you guys enjoyed this what if, and want to see part 2 of it, comment down below, and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. Kurama, you big fuzzball, I swear Kami loves to screw with me, Naruto thinks to himself. Kid, I may just agree with you. In my thousands of years, this is unbelievable, Kurama says back. And yay, so that's how it is, a high-pitched friendly voice says in front of him. His eyes refocus on the abomination in front of him. A 5'3" girl with light brown hair and pigtails wearing a pink costume that hurts his eyes looking at. He would label her a child, if not for her massive chest, and every time she spins she gives him a clear view of his panties. I am sorry, but can you repeat that? Slowly, he says very calmly as he stares at the admittedly attractive woman in front of him. Too bad that is literally the last thing on his mind. She pouts cutely at him. Okay, maybe it is further up there than I thought, he silently admits. Can you please focus? You can pev later, Kurama says annoyed. Yes, this girl definitely puts almost all the girls in the elemental nations to shame, but it isn't the time. I am not pervy sage, damn it, he says with a grit of his teeth. You aren't that smart, are you? She questions with a tilt of her head. Boy. He says with a bit of annoyance while Kurama starts laughing loudly. Just waking up and he is already being called an idiot. Well, long story short, you suddenly fell from the sky, were severely wounded, and I decided to save your life by turning you into a devil. Specifically, my queen. You are my first piece, I am so excited. The fun times we will have, fufufu, the girl says with a dark chuckle. Her sister gets an ominous feeling and quickly looks over her shoulder for her sister. She narrows her eyes and determines that she may have just imagined it. Regardless, she will be placing more wards to protect her bedroom. Kurama, would I have survived without being turned? Naruto asks. May I think so. You are too stubborn to die, Kurama snorts. Naruto mentally chuckles. You turned me into a devil. I don't feel too different, he says as he looks down at his naked torso and pats his head looking for horns. Duh. We are pretty similar to humans, except we have wings and magic, she says as her wings pop out. They resemble bat wings from back home. Naruto feels for his own and suddenly they pop out of his back, and he can move them a bit. Whoa, this is weird, Naruto says in a bit of awe. I mean, he can fly with Sage of Six Paths chakra, but wings are cool too. Yup. You can fly now too. Pretty cool, right? She says with a smile. Well, thanks I guess. Anyways, I owe you one for trying to help me, Naruto says with a smile. He can tell her intentions were mostly pure in helping him, and is privately surprised that a devil can have good intentions. Though, it isn't that big of a shock as people called Kurama a demon, and he was just misunderstood. No problemo. Now there are several things you need to know as my first servant, but we can worry about that later, she says quickly as she walks toward the door. Naruto doesn't react visibly, but mentally he is freaking out. Did she just tell me I am her devil's servant now? Hell no. Naruto mentally screams. Kid, if you willingly be a servant, I will force myself out of here and kill you. No one gets to use my power for themselves except you, Kurama says seriously. Naruto sends him a mental image of him hugging the fox, getting a gag in response. Come down and we can discuss this all over lunch, the girl says with a smile. She closes the door and Naruto lets out a sigh of relief and frustration. Naruto gets up and dresses himself. He decides to not think about who stripped him and washed him as it is better for his sanity. He walks over to the window and he gasps slightly. Kurama, the sky is purple, Naruto thinks. Yes, I see the kid. Kurama, what am I going to do now? Naruto thinks to himself as he looks out the window. Well, for starters, get away from the crazy girl that is going to make you her slave. We can worry about the rest later. Yes, you're right. Let's just focus on the present, Naruto says as he takes a deep breath. He mentally takes stock of his body, which is mostly healed, and his power levels are back around 50%. My power levels are around Asoba right now, even though you took back my other half. Surviving in that portal Kaguya sent you through really took it out of me, Kurama says to him. Naruto creates a clone who walks out the door toward the girl, whose name he still doesn't know, and he opens the window. Deciding not to risk using his wings now, he uses chakra and walks down the wall quickly. Using his stealth skills he developed from running from his Anbu, he makes his way to the forest without being seen. He makes 50 clones who know to run and create false trails, while also trying to find out any other information they can. Naruto takes off, determined to get as far away from here as possible. No need for the crazy girl in that horrid outfit to find him again. And so that's the basic overview of the history of devils, and what a peerage is. Now, since I am a foreign relations demon king, you will have to do other tasks like help me take care of my sister, do paperwork that I don't want to, and if you are lucky help fulfill my needs. Seraful says with a cheerful smile. Naruto takes a moment to digest the information and stands up facing her. Well, Serafo Leviathan, this all sounds very interesting, but I am going to have to decline. Thanks for the help. Goodbye, he says with a wave, before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Where did my hot queen go? She says frantically, while searching the room. She then expands her senses, and can't feel his presence anywhere. Her smile quickly fades, and she gets an angry tick above her eyebrow. Naruto, she yells, and ice quickly covers the entire room. All the maids and workers throughout the house can instantly feel a difference in temperature. They all quickly make themselves scarce, not wanting to be near an angry Serafo. Well shit, I already have enemies, Naruto says with a sigh. Clearly, this world is as messed up as the shinobi, and might be even more so. The clone memory's back. Kurama questions. Yup, and apparently, there are two other factions named Fallen Angels and Angels, who devils have fought a major war against, who kill devils, and have weapons of light, that are extremely dangerous. Then you have the old Demon King faction of devils, that only like pure-blood devils that would try to kill me, and since I ran away from my master all devils are supposed to kill me on sight, Naruto thinks with an eye roll. He isn't terribly worried, because he doubts anything can be harder than fighting a Beto, then Madara, then Kaguya. Wow kid, you basically are a missing nin now. Sure as hell better than a slave. Definitely have to get more information, Naruto thinks with a sigh. Only two good things have come out of this so far. One is that he gets magic and a much sturdier body, and two is that he gets to live for thousands of years. How Orochimaru he is going to be the one to learn all the jutsus. How are you going to learn all the jutsus, when you are stuck in an alternate dimension Dumbus? Kurama responds dryly. Oi Fuzzbit. Don't you remember they kept me out of the war to learn more? And that I stored everything the cage gave me in a seal on my arm? Naruto questions smugly. You're still an idiot. Going to recover my strength, Kurama says before he falls asleep. That damned fox, I'll have to kick his ass again for that, Naruto grumbles. He then starts daydreaming of all the jutsu, and cool stuff he can learn, and how he is going to shove it into Sasuke's face. His mood immediately sours when he thinks of Sasuke, and the rest of the people back home. He knows Sasuke can stop the infinite Tsukuyomi, so at least there's that. He did bring them peace, or at least he hopes he did. Without the Rin Sharingan however, getting back is impossible. Damn Kaguya, that spiteful bitch. He receives another clone's memories about finding a city, but he decides to keep going as far away as possible. The city would be the first place anyone would look, and the number one unpredictable knucklehead ninja does not do the obvious. She is running with all her might through a forest, not minding the explosions happening near her, as she is only trying to reach safety. She looks up at the dark sky, and sees a light spear heading right at her. She jumps out of the way at the last second, barely avoiding being skewered. She rolls on the ground and immediately picks herself up, not heeding her tired muscles calling for rest. Ho ho, look at that Atlas. It seems we have quite the spry little devil tonight, one of the two fallen angels calls out. It seems you are right, Tabule. There is nothing better than a devil hunt with a devil that doesn't give up. Makes the ending so much sweeter, Atlas calls out with a sneer. Shame, if she was only a couple years older then maybe we could have some fun with her, before we kill her, Tabule says with a sigh. He can tell that the silver-haired girl below will be quite the beauty even amongst devils and fallen angels. A shudder runs through the girl when she hears him say that. She can only be thankful that they aren't pedophile fallen angels. She glances back at the six-winged and four-winged angel and curses. They are casually floating behind her with light spears in their hands, just laughing and enjoying hunting her. If they were two-winged maybe she would have a shot, but not against such beings when she has been non-stop running for 2 days. Atlas, we should end this soon as I am getting bored. Besides, I am dying to check out that new brothel in town, Tabule says as he keeps his eyes on the girl below. The excitement of the chase has dulled after 20 minutes, and now he just wants to get laid. Ah. I went there last night with a couple others. The couple of those bitches really know their way around a dick. As for Roxy, Atlas says with a perverted grin as he remembers last night. Truly worth every cent. As if I want any of your sloppy seconds, Atlas. I'd rather not catch a disease, Tabule says with a laugh, and Atlas glares at him. He throws a spear down below at the girl, who dodges, and he lets out an irritated TSK. Shut it, Tabby. Besides, it'd be more like sloppy 1000s with one of those girls, Atlas says as he throws his 2 spears. One of them nicks the girl, and she lets out a cry of pain as she falls down. She has a nasty gash on her arm as the 2 fallen fly down to the ground near her. She tries to stand up, but her legs give out on her, so all she can do is sit on the ground glaring at those 2 asshole fallen. Well, for such an entertaining night we will give you a quick death. And my name is Tabule, damn it, the 6-winged angel yells, getting a snicker from his friend. He creates a light spear, much larger than any of the ones he has thrown tonight, and she knows she is dead. Well, this has been a shitty life. Only wish I got to kill my father, she thinks to herself as she closes her eyes. She waits for her annihilation, but she hears an explosion nearby instead. She opens her eyes, and sees that she is now in the hands of a young blonde with extremely blue eyes and whisker marks. Hey there, Oji-chan. You don't have to worry anymore. I wouldn't let anyone harm you, he says and gives her a bright smile. Tears pour out of her eyes, and the blonde faces the two Fallen. Please explain why you miserable crows were attacking and about to kill a child, Naruto says with his eyes turning cold. Both Fallen are instantly on guard as they never sensed him. What's it to you, devil scum? We need no reason to wipe out a devil, Atlas sneers. Well, if that's the case, then you wouldn't mind if I retaliate, Naruto says with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. He throws a kunai and flips through several hand signs. Ninja art, shuriken shadow clone jutsu, he yells out, making the one kunai become hundreds. Their eyes widening, they close their wings around themselves and harden them with their mana, having the kunai bounce off harmlessly. Attracting his wings, Tabule yells, "This is pathetic, you low-class scum," before seeing several Narutos running at him with blue orbs that promise pain in his hand. Both Fallen take to the sky, throwing light spear after light spear, but can't seem to hit a single one. Naruto jumps up holding the sphere outstretched toward the four-winged angel. Atlas throws a light spear, thinking he has got an easy hit, but the blue orb grinds away the light spear to nothing, leaving him shocked for a moment, making him unable to avoid the attack. A Sengen. Naruto yells out as the blue ball grinds away its Atlas stomach and tears through his back. Naruto pulls out his hand quickly, getting hit by a light spear from the side by Tabule, who is pretty pissed about his friend's death. Unfortunately for Tabule, the Naruto that he hit was only a clone that disappears in a puff of smoke. Tabule, with anger in his eyes, summons hundreds of light spears behind him, determined to kill this devil. With a flick of his wrist he sends them crashing down at Naruto, and a few at the young devil girl, certain that this is the end for them. Naruto, however, calmly flips through four hand seals, slams his hand on the ground, and says earth release. Mud wall, and a giant 20-foot high by 4 feet thick wall appears in front of them. Naruto then hops up on the wall, and throws another kunai at the fallen angel, who plans to bat it aside easily. Right before it hit, however, it transforms into Naruto, who is grinning, and he releases a devastating punch right in the man's face. Before he falls, however, he also attaches 2 paper bombs onto the Fallen. What the hell are these? Tabule asks, eyeing the paper warily. When he sees Naruto have a grin on his face, and his hand in another strange position, he immediately has a premonition to get rid of the paper. Too late. Katsu, Naruto says, and Tabule is engulfed in an explosion. He falls out of the sky and lands on the ground, his body burned and definitely in a lot of pain. Naruto appears right in front of him, surprised that he is still alive. Wow, to tank 2 B-level paper bombs from point blank and survive. Must be the supernatural body, Naruto muses to himself as Tabule tries to pull himself off the ground. Fuck you, you son of a bitch, Tabule spits out, and all of a sudden, he can't breathe, and he sees countless images of his death. He desperately grasps at his throat with his hands, but finds nothing blocking his throat. Looking up, he sees anger in the cold orbs of the blonde devil that made his night hell. Nobody insults my Ka-chan. Rasengan, he yells as he drives it into the Fallen's head, blood spattering everywhere. Naruto looks up and nods to himself. His mother's honor is protected. He glances back at the young girl he saved, with her eyes looking at him with wariness, hope, and acceptance of her fate, whatever it may be. He gives her a soft smile as he walks over to her, his clones from the battle cleaning up any evidence it happened the best they can. See? I told you that I would protect you, Naruto says with a smile. The girl nods her head slightly. Why don't we introduce ourselves? My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I am 17 years old, and I like ramen, my precious people, training, traveling, and ramen again. I hate the 3 minutes it takes to make instant ramen, assholes who pick on children, rapists, and loneliness. My dream. Well, I don't really know what my dream is anymore, he says a little tiredly at the end. He looks at her expectantly, and she realizes that she is supposed to do the same thing. Hello, my name is Valial Lucifer, she says and searches his face for any signs of a reaction. Surprisingly, she found a bit, but no hatred, just curiosity. I am 12 years old, and I like my Ka-chan and Albion. I hate my father and grandfather. My dream at least right now is to find somewhere safe, she mumbles out as she hasn't really given it any thought. Naruto grimaces as he can see a lot of himself in this 12-year-old girl. Only around 4'4" with light silver hair and hazel eyes, with signs clear to him of physical and emotional abuse, he grips his fist and decides that he will do something for this girl. Well, Vali-chan, how about you spend the night camping with me, and you can get a good night's sleep, Naruto offers her. She looks at him with a hint of suspicion, as so far, all the males in her life have hurt her, but she really doesn't have a choice. Reluctantly, she nods her head, making his smile get a tiny bit wider. Hop on my back, and we can find some place safe for the night, or at least somewhere away from here, Naruto says as he bends down. She wraps her arms around his neck and legs around his waist, and he holds onto her legs. Hold on, he says before he starts dashing through the trees at an extremely fast pace, drawing a squeal of fear from Vali. He laughs as she tightens her grip and continues navigating through the forest with ease. Vali opens her eyes and sees everything around her in a blur. She idly wonders how the older blonde can see where he is going. He has trained his eyes for such speeds a deep voice rumbles in her head. What do you think I should do, Albion? Volley asks, desperate for a bit of advice. The past few days have taken a toll on her, and she would be dead without Albion. I say don't trust him completely, but he doesn't seem to have bad intentions. At the very least, he is strong enough to kill those two villains easily, and didn't react negatively to your name. I'd say stick with him for now, Albion says. Should I tell him about you? Don't. He might want to use you. Ollie is brought out of her musings when Naruto stops running, and finds herself still in the forest. Naruto bends down, and she jumps off him, wobbling a bit as she is extremely tired. Naruto creates 4 clones, but quickly get to work setting up a perimeter in camp. You can take the sleeping bag. I am fine with the ground, Naruto tells her as she eyes the sleeping bag with longing. She glances back up him with a bit of suspicion, but the deal is too good to pass up. She quickly climbs in and within a minute is already asleep. And to think I was going to offer you dinner, Naruto says as he unseals a bowl of ramen that is still hot. Man, am I glad Iro-Senin taught me how to seal hot foods, so that they stay hot, he says before he dives into the food of the gods and demon kings. Ollie wakes up the next day super disoriented and confused. How did I get here? She asks herself before all her memories come rushing back to her. Whitening her eyes, she looks around and down at herself. Relax. He did nothing to you last night, Albion says, making her breathe a sigh of relief. She might be young, but years of abuse makes your head jump to nasty ideas. She looks outside, and sees her savior, Naruto, eating a bowl of some type of delicious smelling food, and the sun is up high in the sky. Naruto's eyes brighten when he sees her, and he waves her over enthusiastically. She swiftly walks over to him, hoping that he will share at least a tiny portion of his food with her. She has gotten so hungry that her stomach won't even growl anymore. Good afternoon, Volley-chan. How are you feeling? Naruto asks. I'm fine, she states wearily, still searching for his angle in all of this. Her eyes drop down to his food, something he recognizes. He opens a scroll and channels a bit of chakra to the seal, making another bowl appear in a puff of smoke. Volley's eyes widen as she has never seen such a thing before. Chairs and such, yes, but not food. Here you go, he says as he passes her the entire bowl along with a pair of chopsticks. She picks up the wooden sticks, not exactly sure how to use them. She watches Naruto eat with them and tries to copy him. Naruto silently chuckles to himself as he watches the girl try to eat. Still, he doesn't want to damage her pride, so he says nothing. They eat the rest of their meal in silence, both sitting on a log, each contemplating the other. Naruto is saddened by how much her childhood resembles his own, at least in the body mannerisms. She at least has a mom, but it doesn't seem as if her mom could really help her. Ollie, however, is becoming more and more perplexed by the blonde in front of her. Why would a 17-year-old reincarnated devil help her? Not being able to stand it anymore, she asks bluntly, why are you helping me? Naruto, a little caught off guard by the question, raises an eyebrow and asks, is it wrong of me to help a little girl when I see her in trouble? Volley frowns as she didn't get the answer she wanted. Maybe he simply believes that it was the right thing to do, Albion says. Volley shakes her head as she hasn't met anyone who would do that before from the limited amount she has. I don't believe you, Volley says, and Naruto frowns. Well, I guess I will have to convince you otherwise. Don't worry, I am stubborn, Naruto says with a smile. She just stares at him before looking away. Naruto rolls his eyes at the little girl in front of him. I guess she has experienced betrayal, before he thinks to himself. Well, Volley-chan, I am going to go train. Do you want to come with me? Naruto asks. Volley is hesitant at first, but Albion quickly encourages her to go with him. Albion, why did you want me to go? Volley asks as she rides on Naruto's back once again. Because hatchling, this is a prime opportunity to see how strong he is, Albion says to her. He admits he is curious as well as this man seems like he has to constantly suppress his inner war. Naruto hops down from a tree and gains a mischievous smile on his face. He wants to awe the little girl with his powers. He hasn't been training the past 2 weeks to not show off his new skills. Besides, this one took him 2 weeks to get down, even with hundreds of clones, and he still can't do it close to the level of Mater. Curse that damn Uchiha. Want to see something cool? Naruto asks the girl. She timidly nods her head and Naruto starts flipping through hand signs. Another skill he has been working on vigorously. Fire style. Great fire annihilation, he shouts and he releases a literal sea of fire. All the trees in front of him for 40 yards instantly turn to ash, and the next 10 yards afterward are bathed in a sea of flames. Ollie's jaw is slightly hanging open as she couldn't hope to replicate that. Albion, however, scoffs as that type of fire would have happened by him sneezing. Still, for a non-dragon and 17-year-old he will admit it isn't bad. Pretty cool, right? Still, it's not nearly to the level it should be. I can't do the attack justice quite yet, Naruto tells her with a grin. Volley shuts her jaw and nods begrudgingly, as it was cool to her. She hasn't been allowed to practice her magic or work with Albion, because of her father. Naruto then holds his hands in a familiar hand sign, and says Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu. Suddenly the entire area surrounding them is covered in smoke, and when it clears, even Albion is impressed. Volley is speechless. There are hundreds of Naruto clones surrounding them. Naruto winks at Volley, before facing his clones. Alright, first put out the fire then get to practicing. 200 of you working on Kenjutsu, 200 working on the first stage of fire manipulation, 200 working on Fuinjutsu, 200 going through the Goken katas, and finally 200 working on damn chakra control. I get to do the fun stuff like physical training and figuring out magic, Naruto says with a cheer, causing many except the chakra control clones to snicker. Naruto pours some more chakra into his weights on his arms and legs, causing them to instantly get heavier. Uzumaki-san, what type of magic is that? Volley asks as her curiosity overtakes her hesitance. Albion eagerly listens on as well. It's not magic, but rather chakra. You see, I can split my chakra in half, and produce one copy of me. I can split it into thirds, and have 2 copies of me. This time I split it 1000 times and the best part is, everything they learn I do too. So, all those clones doing those drills is like me doing those drills. The only things they can't do to help me is physical training and magic as they don't have magic in their bodies, and a clone weightlifting won't build my muscles, Naruto explains with a proud smile. He is truly the unrivaled master of this jutsu, so it only makes sense, if he knows all about it. It's not like it took him 3 years to figure out how to train with it. So, you get 1001 days of training out of 1 day. Volley questions. At Naruto's nod, Albion starts laughing like mad. That may be the most OP technique I have ever heard of, he says laughing. He doesn't consider his techniques OP at all. They are all badass and totally normal. Now you can wait here, Volley-chan. I am going to start my training, he says as he starts running. Volley watches him run off, and then starts walking among the clones, interested in what they are doing. Of course, she is keeping aware of her surroundings in case he turns on her. Though she knows she wouldn't be able to do anything to him. The first group she looks at is the chakra control group, who are simply using leaves, sticking them in different places on their bodies, and making them stick, along with spinning leaves on their fingertips, while walking up trees. Each of the clones have a frown on their faces as they watch the others, probably because they deem their practice the boring one. She, while thinking that the walking up the trees is interesting, she doesn't really want to watch them just sit there. She walks over to another group who each have out scrolls and ink. They are painting symbols on the scrolls very fast and precisely. She thinks the symbols are beautiful, and again this blonde surprises her. Ask one of them what it's for, Albion says to her. Mustering up her courage, she walks up to one of the clones. Uzumaki-san, what is this for? She asks timidly, hoping to not be rebuked for interrupting like her father and grandfather would. Boy. None of this, Uzumaki-san, are honorifics. Just call me Naruto, Volley-chan. This is Fuinjutsu, which is the principle of sealing. This type of jutsu is a rare one, but with it, you can pretty do anything, from sealing away elements to creating a pocket dimension. It's a really neat trump card to have against opponents, the clone says as he continues to paint on the scroll. Volley jumps as an explosion engulfs one of the clones, while the others don't look fazed at all. If you happen to make a slight mistake and channel chakra into the seal, it usually blows up in your face. That's why boss only uses clones to practice Fuinjutsu, the clone says, unfazed by his brother's death. Ah, thank you Naruto-san, Volley says, getting a slight glare. I mean Naruto. The clone gives her a smile. Volley, meanwhile, is slowly backing away from him, not wanting to die an early death. Well, it is cool, it seems like it's a little too dangerous for her there. Humph. That is such an unmanly way to fight, Albion says as she walks away. Clearly, he is still bitter about being sealed away by the biblical god. Though, he does begrudgingly admit its effectiveness. Volley then wanders over to the groups, doing more physical exercises. Her eyes widen at the size of the sword, as it is easily the height of a fully grown man, and the way Naruto can casually swing it around with one hand. She sees him going through motions and others sparring with one another. He definitely isn't a master swordsman, but he isn't terrible either, Albion comments to give Volley some context to what she is seeing. Glancing over to the bare-handed Naruto clones, she sees them doing something similar to the sword-wielding ones. She can't follow most of the movements in the spars unfortunately, as they were moving at such a high speed. In reality, they were going slower to make sure they didn't accidentally pop one another. She finally travels over to the last group of clones, and sees each of them have a leaf in their hands, and are staring at it intently. She walks up to one, a little more confident that she wouldn't be hurt for interrupting, and asks, Naruto, what are you doing? I am trying to start a fire in the middle of this leaf, and then control the fire from burning the rest of the leaf, and then having it slow burn for a minute, the clone says as he looks at Volley. This is really hard. We have been at this for the past 2 days now, and no one has been able to even get the fire started in the middle yet. It helps make our fire jutsu more badass with less energy. Ollie is slightly curious on how such a thing would make that happen, but decides to not bother the clone anymore. She doesn't want to overstay her welcome. She goes over to a tree, and sits down against it, deciding to watch the Kenjutsu and Goken groups as they are the most interesting. She hears another explosion and slightly chuckles. The original Naruto comes running past her, giving her a foxy smile and a wave, before continuing his run. She relaxes slightly, and while she is still cautious, it seems that meeting Naruto may turn out to be a good thing. She will resign herself to be in his care for now, only time will tell if that is a good decision. Azazel is at his desk slaving over paperwork that he has been putting off for the past couple weeks. It wasn't his fault that he got caught up in his sacred gear research or at several bars picking up girls in the odd brothel. No. They tempted him into abandoning his duties, and he is sticking to that. His Vice-Governor General, Shumhazai, dragged him here, and told him to do all of it under pain of death. Needless to say, such a threat lit a proverbial fire under his ass, and he has been in here for the past 8 hours, and he hasn't made a dent in it. Surely, this is his punishment from having sex with a human and falling. But seriously, how was he supposed to resist those opi? Griping about how unfair the world is, he most assuredly did not scream like a little girl, when a voice said yo, right in front of him. Nope. He will deny that to his dying day. He jumps up, his wings spreading from his back, messing up his piles of paperwork, and 2 light spears form in his hands as he looks at the young blonde, whisker-marked boy in his office. The problem for Azazel was, he didn't sense him come in. Not at all. He could have been assassinated, and would have never known until it was too late. Who are you? He says seriously, flaring his power, but it doesn't affect the man at all. He flares it even more, making the room start to shake, but still the kid looks entirely unaffected. Clearly, he is pretty strong and skilled. Suddenly, the entire room goes completely dark, and Azazel has all his senses heightened to the extreme. Then, a bright light focuses on the spot in front of him, and sees the blonde in a strange pose. He isn't sure what to make of it, but it certainly doesn't look like a fighting stance. All throughout the nations women talk of me in hushed whispers and men simmer in jealousy. Holding the record in stamina, with superior techniques in the sheets, and on the streets. Hailing from the village hidden in the leaves. Disciple of the super pervert and conqueror of pain. The sage of Mount Maiboku and ally of toads. Uzumaki Naruto Databayo. Naruto finishes his dance with a crazy grin, and fireworks somehow go off behind him. Azazel is standing there stunned, with his jaw on the ground. Sometime during the introduction, he dispersed his light spears, and dropped his aura down to normal levels. Clearly this kid meant him no harm. He bursts out laughing, as the entire scenario is too much for him. Naruto just watches as what he thinks is the leader of the fallen angels is busting a gut with a few tears leaking from his eyes. That has to be the the best introduction ever, Azazel says as he gets his laughter under control. Thanks. I have been working on it for moments like this, Naruto says while rubbing the back of his head. That compliment means a lot to him as it is a way to honor his late godfather. So Uzumaki-san, what can I do for you? He says as he offers him a chair. Azazel groans as he sees all the paperwork on the ground, and he is going to have to organize it all again. Nah, he will just get Penemi or some grunt to do it. Please, just Naruto, Naruto says as he sits down comfortably. I was hoping you could help me out. You are Azazel-san, correct? Yes, I am, and just Azazel, he says as he rubs a hand through his golden-tipped hair. Suddenly, his door bursts open and several fallen pour in with light spears in their hands with slightly frantic expressions on their faces. Once, they see Azazel fine, sitting behind his desk, they relax slightly. Azazel, who is your guest? A stern-looking middle-aged man who is nearly as buff as A and B with a beard says. Albrachial, Penemu, and Shumhazai, this man is Uzumaki Naruto. He suddenly appeared in my office without me noticing him, and then introduced himself. It was honestly one of the funniest things I have ever seen, Azazel says with a hearty chuckle. The others are glaring slightly at the blonde, however, as he is somehow skillful enough to get into the heart of Grigori without being spotted. Ma, relax everyone. I mean no one harm. I simply have come to ask Azazel a favor, Naruto says with a nice smile. I think we will stay here too, if you don't mind, says the 25-year-old with silver hair and purple eyes dressed in one of the most ridiculous things Naruto has ever seen. Still, he gets that the request was anything but. Nah, I don't care. It isn't really a secret anyway, he says with a wave of his hand. They all grab seats and pull close to the desk. Naruto sends a wink to Penemu, who smirks and winks back. She likes what she sees, and he is apparently powerful too. 2 requirements in men that she likes to have fun with. Azazel clears his throat, getting everyone's attention back on him. So Naruto, what favor do you want me to do? I need you to take me, and my charge to the human dimension. I am kinda a stray devil that left immediately after being turned, and I never learned how to teleport, Naruto says, and they all just sweat drop. How did he get past everyone and infiltrate the Grigori? Also need basic devil magic books to teach myself how to use magic, he says with a nod. Azazel cups his hands and leans on the desk. Well, I have a few questions, before I think about your request, Naruto. First, why don't I feel any devil magic within you? That's an easy one. I am just a clone made of chakra, so I can't have any devil magic in me, he says, making them all white in their eyes in shock. The clone isn't too worried about exposing that, as pretty much everyone back home knew that he used Kage Bunshin and he still kicked their ass. Where's the real you? Shumhizai asks. A couple days away, by running with the young girl I am taking care of. He sent me in case anyone got trigger happy, Naruto says with a wave. Okay, I can accept that for now. How did you get turned, and who is your master? Azazel asks. Naruto narrows his eyes. First off, no one is my master. I don't care if that is what devil rules say or whatnot, but that is something everyone should understand. For how I got turned, I was very injured, and a devil by the name of Seraphol Leviathan came upon me. I believe she was trying to help me as she didn't know I would recover naturally, and used her queen piece to turn me. I woke up a couple days later, heard that she called me her servant, and had to do things for her and was out of her mansion in 10 minutes. Used a clone to distract her, and now I am trying to get to the human realm. No real reason to kill countless devils after me, though I will, if I have to. Azazel is a little wide-eyed. That Seraphol got a peerage member and he ran off within the first day. Though honestly, he would have probably done the same. She is a sweet beautiful girl, but she is definitely a kind of crazy. So that was you? Shumhizai says while nodding. Wait, you knew Seraphol got a peerage member who ran away? Azazel questions. Of course, I did. And if you did your paperwork, you would too. Shumhizai says exasperatedly, drawing chuckles from everyone else. Finally, Naruto, what would we get out of helping you? Azazel asks. He isn't going to help a stray devil for free, even if his introduction is awesome. TSK, I was hoping that the angel and you would just want to help out an unfortunate soul stuck in a bad place. Fine, I guess I will owe you 2 favors that you can collect whenever, as long as they don't involve the young girl I am protecting, or create a war, Naruto says with a sigh. I want beginner and intermediate books for devil magic now though. How do we know you won't go back on your word? Shumhizai asks. Azazel is honestly just going to help him regardless, if he goes back on his word later. Asking for those 2 things is literally nothing to him. Suddenly, the air goes cold, and everyone tenses as Naruto looks over at Shumhizai. I don't go back on my word. It's my Nindo, Naruto growls out. The tense feeling disappears, getting a sigh of relief from the fallen. Only a drop of sweat could be seen on Penemu's face, though her eyes shine in lust. In that tense atmosphere, she could definitely feel the presence of an apex predator lurking beneath his gaze. If that was the clone could do, just think of the original. The several guys she is fucking regularly now couldn't ever match what she just felt. Plus, think of the options that clones provide. Penemu starts chuckling darkly to herself. Well, I think that answers that question, Azazel says with a small chuckle, hoping to lighten the mood. He fails horribly. I will come here with my charge in 3 days, so be ready then. Oh, and if you attempt to harm us, well, there won't be a fallen angel faction anymore. Jana, the clone says before dispelling. I think we should take him out. Making a threat like that, after asking for a favor, Brachial scowls. You felt it too, no? Penemu says. That moment where you felt like a mouse and the eye of a cat caught sight of you. There is something dangerous about that boy. Makes me want him all the more. Leaving aside your preferences, Penemu, I see no reason to escalate things. Besides, he did get in here unnoticed. Who's to say he does it again, and this time slits our throats? Azazel states, getting a couple of frowns. Besides, what he is asking for is so simple that I would have probably granted it without anything in return. I just wanted to see what he would offer. I am interested in the young girl he is taking care of. Who is she, and why is he taking care of her? Shumhizai asks. I still think we should deal with him, Brachial grumbles. Don't you start acting like Kakabiel too now, Azazel jokes, getting a small round of laughs. 47, 48, 49, 50, Volley grunts out. After returning to her start position, she immediately falls to the ground drenched in sweat. That was her 10th and final set of push-ups for the day's training. After 2 days of watching Naruto train, and with Albion's encouraging, she timidly asked for Naruto to train her. He got all excited and jumped up and down, shouting how he will be even better than Hirosenin. He asked her what her current capabilities were, and she told him that she has had no training before as her dad was scared that she would get stronger than him. Naruto frowned and patted her head, telling her that it's no problem, and it's an easy fix. While feeling pretty comfortable around him, she still withheld the fact that she has a sacred gear from him. Since Naruto has no idea on how to use magic or train with it, he has been putting her through the gauntlet physically. Push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and running without weights all day. After the first day, she thought she was going to die. That feeling has still not gone away even after a week and a half later. She watches Naruto finish up his set of 200 push-ups, and he jumps up sweating hard, but still ready for anything. She looks at his weights and idly wonders how much they each weigh. She hasn't ever seen him take them off either. Such a great warm-up, Navali-chan, he asks with his signature grin. She grunts, too tired to talk. He's certainly being trained by a sadist. None of my predecessors did anything close to what you are doing at such a young age, Albion informs her with a bit of a chuckle and some pride laced in. She will certainly wield the divine dividing well in the future. Now? Naruto says before he stops talking, and shakes his head. She has seen him every day do this, when he receives his clones' memories, but this time none of his clones in large numbers have dispelled. Well, it seems that the clone I sent to the Grigori accomplished his mission. Volley-chan, we are going to the human realm. Also, getting some books on how to use devil magic. Finally, she groans out. I can soon stop this torture and focus on magic. Naruto furrows his brow when he hears her. What do you mean? You will just practice magic after you work out, he questions with such an innocent tone that she can't tell if he is trying to torture her on purpose or not. We will leave first thing tomorrow, as it will take 2 days to get there at a decent pace. I am going to spar with the Goken and can just do teams. Naruto runs off and Volley drags herself over to a tree to have something to lean on. Above her is another clone still practicing chakra control who looks bored out his mind. Volley watches as Naruto goes all out with his clones, taking as many hits as he is giving. His smile never leaving his face the entire time. So, Volley-chan, how have you liked being around the boss so far? The clone questions. It's been different. In a good way. It seems like he cares, Volley says softly. She sees Naruto deliver a bone-shattering kick to a clone's face, dispelling it. Another clone gets under his guard, kicks him under the chin, launching him upward. He defends against several others looking to take advantage of his airborne state, and as he falls, raises his foot above him, and smashes the ground, leaving a 10-yard crater. You know, Volley, we do care for you, the clone says. Why? Is it because of my last name? I can't understand your reasons, Volley asks with a bit of an irritated tone. All that she hears is silence, before hearing laughter coming from above her. Looking up, she glares at the clone while laughs freely. Hahaha, you really don't have any trust, do you? He says sadly. Truly, I was similar, yet so different at your age. What do you mean? She demands. I grew up in a bad situation similar to you. I was an orphan, born on the same day that a tailed beast attacked our village. The leader of our village sealed the beast into me at the cost of his own life, hoping that the child would be regarded as a hero. The people, however, in their hatred and pain, only saw a beast in human form. I was treated terribly, beaten, running for my life many occasions, eating scraps and rotten food, and ignored by pretty much everyone, save 3 people. Until I was 13, I wore a mask every single day, so I truly know a bit about a shitty childhood. Do you know what changed me? The day the first person acknowledged me as me, not a demon or a prankster. As Uzumaki Naruto. When I saw you, and the signs of having a child had as bad, or maybe even worse than mine, I wanted to help. I was going to acknowledge you. That's all it is. I just want to help you, Volley Lucifer. No other reason than that, Naruto says with a smile. Volley doesn't face him, but in her eyes tears form. She gives a shaky nod of the head as she rubs her eyes with her hands. The clone doesn't say anything more, as they sit in silence watching the spar in front of them. Azazel sits outside, waiting for his guests to come. He has already informed the entire Grigori to not attack a young, whiskered blonde devil traveling with a child under pain of death. He'd rather not fight a man that can sneak around and kill you without you even realizing it. It'd be pretty bad for his sex life. The other leaders of the Grigori, except Kakabiel, who are all cadres, are preparing in case this goes south somehow. Normally, Azazel would say that's overkill, and he could handle it himself, but his instincts warn him to not fight this guy alone. Since his instincts were tempered in a 3-faction war, he knows that they are rarely wrong. He senses the 2 devils, before he sees them, clearly letting him know they are here, though he suspects they don't know how to suppress it, if they are asking for devil magic textbooks. The magical energy in the pair is enormous. Both already have mature high-class devil reserves. Clearly, they will both be powerhouses in devil magic in the years to come. He stands up as he sees them round a building, with many fallen following them, each ready to smite the devils, if they so much as try anything funny. Azazel sees that the girl, around 12, is extremely nervous and scared, her eyes constantly roaming through the ranks of the fallen as she holds onto one of the blonde's hands. The blonde, Naruto, Azazel reminds himself, looks completely at ease, not worried in the slightest about all the fallen. None of his body language betrays him either, which only confirms Azazel's thoughts, that this man is dangerous. As he glances at some of his fallen, he can see that several are sweating at the energy output of the 2, their magical aura is not being restrained whatsoever. He takes note of them, and is going to increase their training as they shouldn't be sweating from this amount. Ah, Naruto. Good to see you again. Sorry about the reception, but some people insisted with you being a devil and all, Azazel says with a smile as they get close to him. Naruto waves it off. Completely understandable. I would have been more surprised, and suspicious if you didn't, to be honest, he says. Azazel reaches his hand out for a handshake, which Naruto easily accepts. Azazel tries to get a read on how much chakra the enigmatic blonde in front of him has, but his unsuppressed magical energy is making it hard for him. All he can tell is that it is a lot. Way more than his magic reserves. And, if I can ask, who is your companion? Azazel asks as he looks down at the young girl. Something about her appearance is ringing faint bells in his head, but he can't seem to remember. Naruto gives her hand a reassuring squeeze as she leans into his leg, trying to get away from all the attention on her. This is Volley Lucifer, Naruto states, shocking all the fallen angels present. They knew about Rizium Lucifer, and that he had a son, but no one knew about a little girl Lucifer. The scrutinizing glares on her increase tenfold, and she is nearly shaking in her shoes right now. Even Azazel is giving her another once-over, and his eyes widen in shock at what he feels within the girl. "Oh ho, a descendant of Lucifer with a strong sacred gear, now isn't this a surprise?" says out loud. Volley eyes widen with a panic look on her face as she looks toward Naruto, who merely has an eyebrow raised. Nevertheless, let's move forward to our business here. "I don't think Volley-chan likes all the stares that she is receiving," Naruto states, getting a nod from Azazel. They walk over to the table where Azazel was sitting, and with a snap of his fingers in the magic circle later, 20 books appear on it. These are beginner, intermediate, and advanced level devil magic textbooks with a couple sub-specialty magic books thrown in there as well as a couple on the history of devils and their pillars. There's also a fallen angel history book in there as well, so that you can have a different perspective, Azazel states with a grin. He definitely went above and beyond, but again his same instincts were telling him that this was the right move. His advisors are going to have a fit about it later. Naruto raises an eyebrow in surprise. "You do know that you are still only getting 2 favors, right?" he questions. "Yup. Consider this a gift from the Grigori faction," Azazel states with a nod. "Thanks, Azazel," Naruto says with a genuine smile. He pulls out a scroll, and lets go of Volley's hand. He quickly seals the books in it, much to the interest of Azazel, and rolls it back up. Volley, meanwhile, shrunk into herself as the stares of all the fallen is getting too much for her to handle. Naruto stands beside Volley as Azazel approaches them. "Okay, I am going to teleport you to the human realm now," he says, getting a nod from both of them. A magic circle appears below them, and they disappear into it. The next moment they are deposited in an alley of what looks like a city, and it is cold out. Naruto can already see his breath, something he never could in the land of the fire. Volley shivers a bit, definitely feeling the bite of the cold with her light clothing. "Here's 5,000 euros in my cell phone number. Call it once you get your own, so that this way I have a way to contact you. Don't worry about us being in different dimensions, I have that covered. Take care, Naruto, Volley, and see you soon," Azazel says as he disappears in a flash. Volley looks up at Naruto, with worry in her eyes, but Naruto doesn't notice as he is too busy cursing out Azazel. "Stupid fallen, pranking us by sending us who knows where, and we have to figure it out by ourselves. At least he gave us money. Still, what the hell is a cell phone?" Naruto grumbles out. He sees Volley shivering, her shorts and short-sleeved shirt definitely not made for this weather, and the first thing he resolves to do is buy new clothing. "Come on Volley-chan, let's go get you new clothing," he says. Volley is getting more and more anxious. She has been walking around all day with Naruto, buying clothes, exploring the city, and going to a library to figure out where they are and what the hell a cell phone is. Turns out, it is the small device all the other humans have been holding to their ear, and it is used for communication over long distances. He quickly buys a small flip phone and calls Azazel, letting him know that this is his number. Naruto, her, while she doesn't really know what to call him, guardian, friend, is fascinated by everything that humans have accomplished. Which is weird, wasn't he a human before too? Shouldn't he know about this stuff? Regardless, she can't help but worry as her secret has been exposed. Naruto knows that she has a sacred gear that she didn't tell him about. Yet, he hasn't said a word about it yet. The worry is eating at her. "I think you are worrying too much. He doesn't seem to care that you kept it from him. Also, remember when he said that a beast was sealed inside him too? He probably understands your reluctance to talk about it," Albion says. "That is true, but I lied to him," Volley anxiously thinks. If she ever lied back when she was with her father, it was not a pleasant time. She still has the scars to prove it. Finally, the duo find themselves in a hotel, something pretty cheap as they have already gone through 2,000 euros buying themselves new clothing. When they get inside their room, which contains 2 queen-size beds, Volley can't take it anymore. "Why haven't you said anything?" she asks with a bit of anger in her voice. "Huh? Why haven't you gotten angry that I have a sacred gear? That I kept it from you all this time? Did you know?" she practically screams, with tears of frustration welling up in her eyes. Naruto, his eyes widening, walks up to her and hugs her. She flinches at first from the contact, but she soon gives into the hug, tears rolling down her face. The stress of the entire day getting to her. "Volley-chan, I didn't know you had a sacred gear. I honestly don't really know much about them other than they are artifacts from the biblical god. Winsa doesn't matter to me though. Besides, I don't expect you to have told me all your secrets by now. We have only known each other for about 2 weeks now," Naruto states with a chuckle as he pats her head. Thank you, Naruto, Polly says. She is really lucky to have met Naruto when she did. His sunny personality has torn down all her walls, and she feels like she can actually trust someone other than her mother now. No mention it, kiddo. Now, I'm going to take a shower. It's been way too long since I was last able to, Naruto says with a chuckle, and goes into the bathroom. I told you, hatchling. He doesn't care. It seems like you have found yourself a good sensei, Albion says. Sensei, yes, that is exactly what Naruto is. My sensei, Polly thinks as she lays back on her bed. The inviting embrace of the soft bed, something she hasn't felt in a long time, quickly ushers her to the land of dreams, a small smile on her face. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.